Remember a few weeks ago when we were studying in the book of Acts, we were studying about the goddess Artemis.
Ma si toma vene mandara ke na paso Panama pememeda ite kuimo Artemis arikiaka atami.
And someone remembered that in Burma they had seen medals, I think they were medals of Mary being sold? Is that right?
Mandara ke te pe toma ko heda pe do bisho ku ma da pe do ke gunama pe meta sanada kulapler ku bebe sanada pusi bebe a dapo no ma sanada ma di momari dapo ko.
And so someone was wondering, is that selling of the Mary medals, is that like the selling of the shrines and silver things of the goddess Artemis in the book of Acts?
Tumada ma pe meta ma de asana ma primo dapo prino ko he na ma asana momari mo pe ma pe sisingi ko sana ma ke si aja ite che na ma de upri na ma sana abe u ma de aje ma de primo quimo ar ku da pone na ba pe ne na ma sana da por kun ma de ma quimo ma atmi ki.
Well, we said yes, there was a similarity. With the goddess Artemis, people prayed to her for healings and for help with some problems.
Ninda ma da por ko pe ma thara ma kulap lo ku sin ma ari kana ma sa re na quimo ma quimo ta ma chamra mo pre ma amina de atami na komite ne ma ti hi na wa ku chobe theluna de kene ate shui o si ne ma ku chobe luna de ami me ke pelu nge si kene alu si no mi chote ji ne ma ku chobe thekalo.
For instance, the goddess Artemis was said to be able to help women who had problems with childbirth.
No da ite pe ni ho na ma te ma je na da si chamra mo de pre na ma mi chwa che primo hu da ke a holo a phu ke na ko he ke na yep lu nge che a the dong lo si ne ma de chamra mo de pre na mi chwa che ko.
In the same way, in the Catholic Church, it has become extremely important for people to pray to Mary to have help with their problems.
Mina sana kuimo ma atami ma ma chamra mo atami na ko he da pu ki sra ko si ne ma ku chobe the ma mo mari mi mete ne ma si ku chobe the lu na da alu mi chwa lu.
And as we'll see today, it is like the Catholic Church is treating Mary from the Bible as a goddess.
Mete ma sana pe mene ma da pu ki sra ko si na ma adedu kana ne ma mari sana da ma chamra mo pre chamra mo I mean.
I am thinking that perhaps in Burma, what was seen in Burma, perhaps they were selling these and telling people that they could be, for instance, healed of a physical problem.
Mena das rangi na tene na ma hina kiye sina asud I she ma ide kulapler ma da pona ma mare tom ne ide adami ada po mete ne ma ai chho kiye sina na ke na pri ne ma ide ku chobe the chomre mo ate he pre ne ma sana da si te shui si te she sina ma make it ba.
Pome, do you remember what people were getting these for? You remember?
Mete ne toma va ma to ne singi va mete ma kiye u pri ma da de kulapler si he he a pri ma te ngi te.
Porque do kat na na da dia da ka me si na ni ma Maria le yo na te ba ti no du ko na he la no su to pra ma ku la ma se di ina le so be na no so la pra na he na le na trust le yo na da no ko na da ja ti ma cha la na ku na he na ma sana sa ti ma cha la na ku lo ma na ku la na sana mình lúc tí mà mình cho anh bảo xong rồi thì mà cái ấy của bà từ đó suốt khi là khi cả cái gì ra khác cả nó là đâu là chứ được cái chiều nó rồi
So it's kind of like a donation, kind of like every time a priest would come and visit each town, kind of like missionary work, but they will come through each town and then they'd give out these little, it's like not trinket, but
Like that?
yeah.
Here's a bigger picture of what they were little medals like this.
Yeah, they were told to carry it with them anywhere and it will help them.
Right, hang around your neck.
Yeah.
Now, Mary in the Bible, we respect her because she was one of the obedient men and women that we find in the Bible.
Nida pe ada lisa sa kuna ma mimete pe de duga ma pe sisi ga mamari rikya mimete hene ma da lisa kuna ma ema da hikufu the prayer anida tatere ne da chomra langono ga.
And of course she was the mother of Yeshua's body.
Toba mamari na ma da de de apule ma dia se shura au para hikua kina ga.
But over the centuries, over the years in the Catholic Church, there were ideas that began to be developed where they said that she had great powers.
Munada puki sra ku sino ha ma au nya shwana ko sana au na ri to no klon sino ko ha sana na puki sra ku sino ha ona amemera lisa ku nei ma asina atene na mo marina ma au para hi ko kena ma sana ate propria du ko sana ka thau ka sana na bia se shukrin ko.
One of the things that is commonly taught is that because she was the mother of Yeshua, that she could, if you prayed to her, she could tell Yeshua to do things for you.
Ntabada esi te swana ma ite de ate salik lo ma hena mimate mamari na ma pu ku be ma bia se shukri na he me na ha de kira ne ki yesi na ha ku chob be the mamari na ba no shu delu na da chom bia se shukri ka sana ben lo ta je na ba ai be ku chob be the na mamari na ku chob be na mamari be shu na bia se shukri na pa ai sana ku chob be the na.
Now we know from reading the Bible that when Yeshua was a boy, he was obedient to his parents.
Tubada pesingi ga dali sa kuna mami da bia se shukri opa na pati ba kin ga ma ide ani dare ne ga mo philango ga.
But things changed greatly when Yeshua became an adult and began his ministry.
Munaba anadu the ake bana ke ameja iswali salango kenama asanada ate nida mo philango sinama opti ke ki ko ke ko.
We won't take the time to play this verse, but if you wanted to look it up, when Yeshua was preaching one day, his mother, Mary, and Yeshua's brothers came to speak to him.
Could you repeat that part?
Yeah. Right. One day, when Yeshua was preaching, Yeshua's mother and brothers came to speak to him.
Does it say older or younger brothers?
Well, they would have been younger.
Okay. Oh yeah. The ite the mate amadu senne ma pu des ku tu de nga se ko no hem ma pe phano to ma na sisi me ne ma ni me ko ro bana a he na ma he na da tna ke bia shi kri no ha ma a ho tara ri sa la ngo da ite kia pla mu o tu go he na ba bana ke ma mo marina da ite bia shi kri a po ku si te he no ha a he be a me he be shi na bia shi kri ka.
So Yeshua was told that your mother and your brothers would like to speak to you.
Bana ke da kia da pren ha ai sho bia shi kri na na order da ne mo na ne po ku si na apo asi be shi na ne.
And Yeshua told them, well, who are my mother and my brothers? The ones that are following God, they are the ones who are my mother and my brothers.
Mete na bana ke bia se shukri na isho ke hasalo na hina order ba mo na ba po prikusi na mo pwe mete ne ma da uni da chom ra lango te he si aji sho sho chom ra lango si te he na ma du da ba mo na ba po prikusi.
So we know that first of all, we know from the Bible first of all that you don't pray to dead Christians.
Ani da ra la te che pe singi na ma da li sai sho pe na ko he da pe ku cho be the na ma pe ku cho be hu da kripu asa ke na te he si na ma pe ku cho be si to.
And we also know from the Bible that Mary today has no special powers with Yeshua.
Ni mina da tuma da le sa ko na mai sho ta te pe ko he da ma ri na ma ite en ma da apu le ve apu ve ma bia se shukri ko he da ro si ne ma asana da te prepare du gonna si au ko.
Now, this idea of praying to dead Christians and asking them for help, this idea began to be developed long ago in the Catholic Church.
Ni da ase kunne si pe meta ma hu ke si te he aku be ka ma kripusi ra sa tho te sin ko da ke si kripusi at te mi du ne ne pa kunne ke si ku be thelu to kunne no be asana sa the hu ma ku be the ma kripu sa se sin ma sa the da sana de puki sa ku ko da kya.
Many people that had been following false religions and praying to false gods and goddesses and making idols, they began to come in to the Catholic Church.
Mina da u ma upre ku be ma chumre atu si te hin ko ha ni ne ma to te he si to ba asana ku be ma chumre mo be a chumre phe be chumre mo si be to ba ne da to me te te ma ku be ta to ja da ma a bet het a yo to chu na ba ku be te na no class ne ma e si ma a me la kra ku no ga ma te puki sa ku ko.
Of course, many of these people came into the church and had not really been converted.
Ni mana da ke ye te he si ku be da chumre a su si a tu si te he na ma akuno da te puki sa ku wa mana da akuno ma thwa puki ma to wa e si na sana ide phule na te ku be si ma phule na te ba.
But to make these people from these other religions, but to make them comfortable, the Catholic Church began to substitute the idols of saints for the idols of the false gods and goddesses.
Ni da ma me mete u preje chomre ma da atu si te he si ko me mete e si au e kan ne da akuno da kripu no da puki sra ko no ko me mete e si o ene ne na da puki sra ko na ma hina me mete asi e no pu ka ke si no memore ka ma ke si the si no ha da puki sra ko no ka phule ke ma e si sana te kripu si amui du si da li se ku si no ko he e si khalu ma sana da po ya yo ko mana e si phule ke sana me te ne ma asi de ke na ma ya yo na da e si preje su si he no ko he me ne te sana da po pe e si ne ma e si na ko no di pa he po di pa.
One of the early popes centuries ago said that if there is a false religion temple in a town, then the Catholic Church should go and remove the idols of the gods and replace the idols in the temple with idols of the saints.
Mina dara ke ma esipuki sa dula de pre a o ko ma mina pop si hina ko he is a dula mi dula no ba auto pre ma en ha hina o kera na si meta de vi ku vi ma esi ku job be the ma chamre a tu si hina ko ha da po ye yo o ne ma sana ku no da esi sra ku no ba sana vi ke esi ku job be the da po no ku to ba ne de ke ma da pe ma pe kripu ami du si da li sa ku si no sana da pre nya pu si the no ko pu le kana pe pre nya pu da po si na ai.
Yeah, that Pope said these people are used to coming to that temple and worshiping their gods, now they can come to the same temple and they can pray to the saints.
Mete na mada ite da vi gu pusi te hisina wa ite alik lo de ko he una si kuno da si sra ko meta ku chobe thena si chom re ba mana kun ne ke ne pe phule ke na da po na ite sana phenya pusi te he da kripu amu du si te he sine ma kun ne na ma vi gu pusi he na ma ku he ku chobe ke de ma pe kripu amu du si hin ko.
And of course, the Catholic Church believes that the most important of their saints is, of course, Mary.
Tamada esi puki sra ko sinema esi de dula ma sana phenya pusi tom na kripu amu du si de hin ma da ma mo mari ko.
I cannot overstate, I cannot overemphasize the incredible, how important the honoring of Mary is in the Catholic Church today.
Ahiluna ma saint ahina kaya sase. Does that make sense?
Do you want me to explain about saints?
Yeah, it's in the Qurani translation it says holy person.
Okay, good. Yes.
Sana de dune nelu he sana aijeluna kaya sase jahung longo.
I'll say this. There's a little bit of confusion there. In the New Testament, all believers are called saints or holy ones.
Nada ite lisa se kunama ahina da kiyema hu ahiku hu ma da ji chom ra lango si atha kripo si te he ne ma u lolo pli hu klasi kiyesi hu klasi ma pe eluna da kiyesa se ko bite asana.
But it's different in the Catholic Church. In the Catholic Church, they call holy ones only those who they believe were so good that they went directly to heaven without going to purgatory.
Munada ite pukisra ko sinama a je mada ite kiyasa se ahinu klasi nama akodi go he da pengi nama da kripu aji cha cha ma ngone ma kiyasa se pe hilu ka manada pukisra ko nama a e ma kiyesi hu da ite esi ma kiyesi ma kripu si mada kene asa ne ma athe to kathe cha cha da mok hu no ko he da mi te na athe cha cha da mok hu mi te he ne ma esi kiyesi ma hu da ame the fit me a ren ne da hi ko king to ban da aji cha asana ke hu da re at ne mi na go mi na to a eluna kiyasa se ko.
You might be surprised to know how powerful this honoring of Mary is in the Catholic Church.
Nida pe ni tope che singi ko kamite hina ma da pukisra ko sinema ada dunene da kujo be da mamari batte na ma pisingi.
There are thousands of shrines, places to honor Mary. We might say worship.
Is there like a small shrine?
They're different, but they are places where people can go to pray to Mary, to honor her, to do things to honor her.
Because my only way of telling them a shrine will be like comparing it to like how Thai people have their shrine. Like it's a small place.
Yeah.
Ate uwa ma sana mu medo guwa sini ni deklan ko.
Nerogu.
Ate na sana ma iti jadi Maria Karlin ko siya na tanah kun ma ti mi kue.
I have seen tiny shrines made of tiny Korean shrines, but we're talking about something that would be very, very large.
Sit, something like that. Not too big.
They wouldn't necessarily be the same.
Thế nó bị mất thằng nó mà kể đất Thái. Bụi mì đây mà ta. Xin lỗi.
Every year, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Every year around the world, there are millions and millions of Catholics that go to these shrines to honor Mary.
Anh em là si he plush luôn mà tiếp cái he plush luôn có sana he cho kia lo bị mà tự ri cho nó he si he tận nạp phô ấy có.
when I was a boy at home, I had an aunt who lived nearby, and she had a little a tiny little building in the back of her house.
Nina sra to ma kon da ke ma sra anapti ba kin go ba tha ba ma puche phu no go ba na ke ma adando out the pray out pu hi na ma pu ma na sra hi ba ko ma ba na ke adando hi na ma da hi kya na ma a bet he sana hi petet me go.
And after a few years, she removed all the things that she had in this building, and she replaced it with a shrine to Mary.
Ni da ba na ke lo ke na ma da ta te si da hi petet ku si ma a u ri ba ko hem na so na ba a tho na ke no ha ma adando the pray na ha da ta te o lo da hi petet ku na ha phyak the lo ke na ba a mi bet to che a to ma ta pe da ma mo ma ri u le ku cho be a ngi na go.
It looked like a small church when you went in,
Sana ne kuno da hi petet ku na ma sa sana da sro ku ko ma na sro ku petet
but it was to Mary, to honor her.
mana da hi petet ku ngi na ma to ma da ma ri ngi na ko.
In the Catholic Church in my neighborhood where I would go, they would have a feast every year for Mary.
Ni da ite sa pacha pa ke na me be da ba na ke na ma sa ma puki pu ko he na ba ite a sana papa na ma a ka da puki sro ku au puki sro da ma au phu na da hi na ko ba na ke na ma ta na ta hu na da si sro ku si na ma a me ka she o si ya sana me pwe ka spe ma da o ngi na ma da ma ri a me pwe pe ma ri ngi ko.
And every year, the priest and altar boys and the Catholics in the church would make a procession. It looked like a little parade.
Wa ta na to pho na ma ite puki sro ku to pho na ma ite da asana da ma simi ma tha ma pwe asana pwe ko he na ba esi chocolate ku no go chora chocolate na ba ma ki ma puki sra du pa to ne na puche pu ku si mi chwa ma puki pu si ne te he to ne ite creep pu si na ma te asana chocolate no go.
And they had a wagon, a beautiful wagon, where it had on the wagon a large, maybe 5-foot tall idol of Mary.
Ni da esi chocolate ke ma pwe ko he da esi chocolate ke na ma esi chu cha pa ni ma sana a chu cha pa ni ma ite mo mari da po ko sana ate da po mo to ma ye a bet he ko na a du ne asana au khne.
Ready?
Yes.
They have the medal.
Yes, and this procession or parade, however you want to call it, it would go through.
They khne na pe na.
Du nemi.
A khne na pe ni 5 feet hay na.
Du nemi. A ya je dan so lui.
Oh yellow?
A mi je na mo ka se da mo ka he ma.
A wagon a chu je na wagon na hay na.
No don mo ya na ni be na mo ka so to ma.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's saying in our country we wouldn't carry them because we don't have a wagon.
Well, they would go through all the neighborhoods, and people would come out and give money to the priest.
Singin lo ko ma.
Mình nói thật mỗi đôi cái này mình mua hết. Em miếu là quên chung đi xem.
They hear about it. Like they've seen it.
Yeah. Here's it would have strings going from
the head
on this wagon. It would have strings, and people would come and give money to the priest, and the priest would hang the dollar bills would hang the bills on all the strings.
Really? Ninda ba esi puki sa dusi mana pusi ak chocolate kena ko heda ite puki pusi the ma creep pusi the a method ne ma ada bichana di pukisra dusi no ma esi kan bichana dia coma dia ma supler lu ko supler ma oda ma mama rien ada ko klalo no ba apjuta.
So when this came back to the church, it was floating with money. The breeze would float all the money.
Ani mena esi kato ada esi sroku ne ma da mama ri ite anni lu ma sena shu chana rusi.
Over the centuries, ideas developed in the Catholic Church that Mary had incredible power.
Ani ongnya shana ko da pukisra ko sinema esi sena ponna be sena na sha ku si be na te ya ku si be ko he sinema asana adadu ada muidu po mamma mari diki ko mite ne ma ona esi meme da mama ri ne ma sana ahina oda mama ri ne ma sana ka thau ke sana ate propria du se na na bia shu kri ke sana hin ko stelo mo to te propria du ko ke hin ko.
Now the Bible tells us that there is only one man, only one person between us and God, and that man is Yeshua.
Ni da lisa ku na mai chota te pe ko he da pe kripusi na to ban da pe si be shin na chom re ne ma au da kla me ku na ma o te pri be ko he au tu na da bia se shu kri be ko.
But Catholics are taught that if you really want to get something from God, it's best to go to Mary, and then Mary will speak to Yeshua, and then you will get it.
Munada puki sraku nama ai swa nama hina kira ne kripu de priasi de chicha si kuchok be the ka chomre ne ma a rel ma da abi kuchok be re de ma mari ka mi te he ne ma kuchok be mari ne ma sana mari na be shu pe luna da bia se shu kripa ahino ko.
Would you play Romans 1 chapter 1? Romans chapter 1.
Verse 25. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anma Rome madu te amapu nesenga.
To zui chomria te mate chotadero atulia the plikiaro achu zui nidi te la khulhia atu chobe shitonzo chomria ro atu me pipre tu preda bialia te id pre te me pre te dero achu chobero me pe tu te de chomria bialia lute he ate me bia che id pre nu u good to set a de lu ajuju atutuni. Amen.
The Catholic Church does not want Catholics to honor Mary, the creature, more than they honor God.
They don't want them.
They don't want them to.
Aninda munanda puki sraku nama asi method ko he da kripu ma asi kripu si ma puki pusi nama ade dula mamarina ko ade dula mamarina da chomre ko.
But millions and millions of Catholics are so consumed with honoring Mary that they do it more than they honor God.
Nina puki sraku nama ai shoda te ko he son nama hina ide bebe de dula na asi be de dula ma chomre me ko he da ite asi be kuchu be the mamari ba mana da abe de dula ma chomre ko he ai so me na mana da ite puki kripusi te hina ma asana ai atne ani atne ko de ko he mna esina mimete pue kusi ame mipe mitite pe ma mari ku na ma sana da ame no klasina de dula ke ma mari ko.
One of the ideas that developed in the Catholic Church is that Mary was sinless.
Da au pata chera esi puki sra hu ma ai so ai so tni ta kla de go he da esi na ai so na ma hina da ma ri na ma at su ta cheto.
They the Catholic Church began to teach that Mary was born without sin and never sinned in her life.
Nina esi sro kuno mai sana mahina da momari aule ketri da sana ma ate te su te chuto.
Now it's very clear in the Bible that all are sinners.
Munanda pesinge go handa lisa kuno mai shuta te penanda he ku pulo pli ma te su lo pli.
This verse says that there is none righteous. No, not one.
Nina ro me madu se ma pu she na go he ai shuta te pena hina da he ku pu lo pli na ma ate u preto are la hu no le ka to ma auto preto ko prema auto.
And yet, one day, a couple of 100 years ago, one of the popes declared, "This is the truth. Mary never had any sin."
Unanda ke awana teze ba ko sana ma esi pope ma kripu ndo puki sa du le ke pope na pren ko ahina ma mani ne ha pe singi na ma da ma mari na ma da o le ke tu da sa ke na ma ate su ko no te cheto.
Another idea developed after that, and it said that long ago, when Mary died and was buried, her body, which you couldn't see this, but her body, they say, was taken directly up to heaven.
Like physical body.
Physical body.
To bada esi puki sra ku no ma isa pot juna ma hina da mo Maria sa ke na go han ane ate abelu da hile na go bana ke ne ma sa ke na da mo Maria ne na go sana ne krabe am ne pa da ma ate to ke te mo khu ai na ba e chat chu chelu da mo khu ai. Yeah.
It's hard to describe how powerful this worship or honoring of Mary has become.
Nida esi kun ne na ma pe hi che go he da ite pe singe tu la do da esi kun ne to kun ne na ma esi de du ne mo ma di ba te ku chob be the ne lu ba te amido ba te na ma pe hi singe che do.
The things that have been said of Mary over the years that are truly shocking.
Memte na ma da peninda ga ite peni ho ga da esi a he da mo Maria re kya sin ko sana da pe te ne na ma sana asana pe kya cha ko sana peni ho sin thin.
I thought I was going to finish this today. I really did. But we'll stop right here. I do have some more stuff. It gets more shocking as we go.
Ni da sra atni na ke lu ke na ma e sa da ko re kyan ma a tho ke tan da pa tani ko mana a li he e sa ma e lu pa da ona pe singe e po ne ma sana da asana amma asana pe method no ko me ka ma ke pe hina ma na na pe ni ho a ke na ma sana a kya ka ko sana ma po ki.
But when we wonder how these ideas about Mary could come about, we want to remember one thing.
Nida ba ite petene ke sa ko hada esi da kripu puki sra ko sina mamente ai swa da mama ri re kya mi ana klomete ne masana pe tomani patche.
In the Catholic Church, the Catholic practices and ideas that have been developed in the Catholic Church that says that they have just as much authority as the Bible does.
Nina petene pepe tomani na mahina da esi puki sra ko sina ko aleklo iswa bebe aleklo me te chichi si pwe ko si bebe ko he esi na mahina da lo pli esi me ta the ko si na ma akrina seven da ma ai swa da lisa sa ko na we a he na ko da esi puki te iswa te ju en ko si na ma akrina sana da ma lisa sa iswa he na.
And that is why we see so many teachings in the Catholic Church that are against what the Bible teaches.
mình là sao na ồ na bên mình là Puki sro của xóa xin này mà bên mình thở tí gọi đó AC lấy xóa xin mà à khôn này đó ite mà lý sai xóa nó có sao na là giá trị nó lý thì trong rồi để là tiếng Hàn.
Well, so we'll pick that up next week. Are there any questions about anything we've talked about?
Anh đó sai xóa thâu cái bế chăn nó tập ba còn nó cũng này xí lấy chủ đề để chỉ chơi rồi mà te bế chữ nó mà te để kia mà te bị bế chăn.
Jacob, did you have a question?
Yeah, so basically the Catholic Church fears Mary more than God.
Not the church.
Jacob questioned whether the Catholic Church honors Mary more than God.
Ni da ma ashuda na ma hina da esi puki sra ko sinama ade dula na da te mamarie ade dula mamari na da tomre.
There's one thing to realize about the Catholic Church. There are official teachings, but sometimes what individual Catholics believe are sometimes different.
Ni da esi puki sra ko sinama te swami te klot te esi isho mai te na ma a te o kala du ko he da be swami si li isho sinama be me asana a rama de wa mana te puki sra ko si da ro si ne ma a swa sek lu wa mana da ate je na da ate li isho na ma ko de ko.
There's also confusion there.
To mana da ite asana debate na ma be singe to na ma au pa.
For instance, the Old Testament tells us, God instructs us in the Old Testament, do not make idols and do not bow down to them.
Ninda chumre ai chope ko da lisa le ko na ma hina ite chumre da po si na ma ya yo si na ma be me ba ne da ite dang ku chobe thelu me.
But in the Catholic Church, they make idols, they bow down to them, but they say, but we don't worship them.
Mana da puki sra ko na ma ahina mana da pe te chumre na ma ada po na ya yo si na ma pe be ba to pa ne da pe dang ngole ku chobe shulu ba mana da ite sana pe da dulu to sana pe me bia we a ja hu.
The Catholic Church says, we only worship God. What we do with saints, we have a different word for that.
Mà si hina da ni ne na ma pe ku chobe the pe da dulu na ma da chumre ba mana da pe milik lo da ite pe la kami pe milik lo da ma pe na da ite ke ya sa si na ma pe he ko du.
So the Catholic Church says, in the Catholic Church, it's the same practice, but they have a different word, not worship.
Ni da esi me na ma sana milik lo na ma ide ba ya yo ide dang ku chobe the mana da a he na pe ku chobe lu ma to ai no.